So here we are at not any old Enduro test complex, but Damien Smith's Juleby Enduro facility. Bike I'm with here is Sherco, French manufacturer, the 250-R. And while a few of you might have think that you've actually heard of the 250-R before, you haven't. You will have heard of the IR. You may have seen this online. This is actually the first two-stroke that Sherco's produced. Fabien Planet's been racing the thing in the World Enduro Championship in the last year, so we had an inkling this thing was coming. We're expecting to see it later in the year. So the first two-stroke is actually only the 18th one that's rolled off the production line over in France. The Sherco guys from Moto Central were kind enough to give it to us for a couple of days to test out here on some of the trails, enduro loops and grass tracks that we've got here. So what is it? Well, it's a two-stroke. Let's just talk quickly the differences between the four-stroke. Really, it is the same rolling chassis as the four-stroke that we've seen for the last couple of years, since 2012, since they brought in the Brembo componentry on brakes and clutch, and the WP suspension, which is very, very similar to the stuff that you find on the KTMs and Husqvarnas and now Husqvarnas. Of course, though it does have a linkage. So essentially, the rolling chassis on this two-stroke is the same as the four-stroke. Differences being you go up from an 8.5 litre tank on the four-stroke to a 9.5 here. The airbox, the inlet track is a little bit different to suit the key and carb, and there's some slightly different suspension specs. But other than that, the bikes are, the two and four-stroke range very much the same. So what's special about this bike? Well, they started from scratch, and the Sherco guys like to say that they started with a clean sheet of paper. They've produced a really competitive engine. It's a fantastically torquey, broad, usable. It's a new generation two-stroke engine. It's got a few interesting features aside from the FMF gnarly pipe that they've gone on. They have also got they've incorporated the electric start underneath, not actually just underneath, but it's actually in the engine cases underneath. And the other thing is an electronic power valve. Not new, but not often used really in the enduro world. Interestingly, the Sherco guys are very, very much about being sort of cutting edge with their electronic componentry and the use of it. And what they've done with this, obviously a powerful 252 stroke, is they've incorporated it so you've actually got a dual switch, bar-mounted switch, which changes both your ignition and your power valve, the electronic power valve operation. So look, we knew that given the rolling chassis, we knew they were a really nimble, agile, light. It's a super light bike. Goes for about $11,600, which is a little bit tad more than the KTM, which is interesting this year. Has got some trick componentry. You've got billet triple clamps, really nice hubs. A few things like the on-the-fly switch that the KTM doesn't have. And what we can say is that the things are a very, very competitive bike out of the box. Interesting to see. They might do a few little suspension changes between now and when the thing actually rolls off the full production models roll off are in dealer floors, I guess, in the next couple of months. But you're going to have to go and get the January issue of Transmoto, where we're going to have a full test ride impression on this. It's a historic model, Sherco's first ever two-stroke.